Alrighty, everybody, we are going to be getting started here in about 5 minutes. If I could ask our panelists to please take the stage. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The microphones have a broad range. They should be able to pick everybody up. Hello, hello. Three minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Is there room for me?
There should be. If we need to pull more chairs, we can pull more chairs. Do I need more seats? Do we have everybody? Will, I need one more.
Could you guys maybe next year, make this in, April?
You know, we. Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, we try to.
Just fun and
Yeah. Well, we're streaming live in this corner, and we're also streaming live. Alrighty, welcome everybody. So just to get started, I would like to welcome both students and faculty to the Providence Student Government Association's annual academic town hall. We would also like to thank Fraternity and Sorority Life, who have partnered with SGA to make this a successful event for everyone. Thank you, guys. Alrighty, so before we get started this evening, let me introduce our panelists. We have Dr. Lou, I'm so sorry if I get this wrong, Dabrowska?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome, look at that. The Dean of the College of Business. We have Dr. Susan Marshall, Interim Dean for the College of Culinary Arts. Dr. Frank Tweedy, Dean of the College of Engineering and Design. Dr. Laura Galligan, Dean of the College of Health and Wellness. Dr. Robert Fink, Associate Dean of the College of Hospitality Management. Dean Sherry Young, the Dean of XEd. Associate Provost Jennifer, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, Gallipo? Hey, look at that. And then Provost Billy O'Clair.
Dean of Libraries, Dr. Rosie Hopper.
Dr. Rosie Hopper, and there we go. So I missed one. Oh, I'm missing so many.
College of Arts, Rory Sinertia, Assistant Dean, College of Arts and Sciences.
There we go. I'm so sorry that your names are not on my list. Alrighty, so just before we get going for this evening, just a few little housekeeping things. The purpose of a town hall is to allow open dialogue between faculty and students, and that is what we intend to do this evening. If you would like to ask a question or voice a concern, there are two ways you can do this. The first way is to come up to either side of the room here. We have two mics set up that are going to be moderated by two other members of SGA. You can come up and ask your questions in person through that method. Or you can also use the QR code on the screen. It can also be found on our Instagram page or on the flyers that you might have with you. You can ask your questions anonymously through this. I have the program up on my computer so that I can see any questions that come through that as well. We do ask that if you come up to the microphones, that if you have more than one question, you ask one and then cycle to the back of the line just so that we make sure everybody gets to ask their questions this evening. Let's see here. And then we also ask that you silence your cell phones this evening, give your undivided attention to our panelists and to your fellow students as they ask their questions. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming. Alrighty. So before we start diving into the bigger questions of the evening, we wanted to address a couple of questions that came up in last year's academic town hall. So just to touch base on some topics from last year, there was a discussion in regards to diversifying faculty and staff on campus. And students just wanted to touch base with all of you in this regard and see what progress has been made in this direction.
Thanks. As I mentioned last year, it's something that we're well aware of, and we've been working hard to try to diversify the faculty. Unfortunately, a lot of the positions that are coming vacant right now aren't being replaced just because there's a reduction in the number of students that we've had over the past few years, so we haven't done a lot of hiring. I will say in our dean searches that we've had a fairly diverse pool, and that's been rewarding. It doesn't always end up being the final candidate, but the pools, I think, are more diverse. It's something that we're well aware of, we're working hard on, and I know it's not a great answer, but I think every college and university is also trying to diversify their talent pool as far as their faculty and staff. I think in some respects we have a better chance of doing that with staff than with faculty, because faculty positions we don't have a lot of them opening up every year. But it's something that we keep aware of. I will tell you that we had our NECHI visit. Some of you may have participated in that and spoken with the visiting team from NECHI. They were here in October, and if you did, we appreciate that you spent time with them. And they noted that that is one of our goals, and it's noted as one of our goals for the next several years, and we will continue to work hard to diversify, but there's no silver bullet, unfortunately.
Would anybody else like to comment? Ooh, my microphone on. Anybody else like to make a comment? No? Alrighty. And then we did have one more topic in regards to last year's town hall as well. Students also wanted to touch base on the idea of digital content and ebooks. When this was discussed last year, we were told that it would be looked into, and students simply want to know what progress has been made on this subject to assist in lowering the associated costs of higher education.
Oh, sure. That's one of my favorite areas. So again, I'm Rosie Hopper, and I'm the Dean of Libraries. And Johnson & Wales continues to lead the other higher education institutions in Rhode Island in rolling out open textbooks and reducing student out-of-pocket costs for textbooks. I don't want to quote the number right now, but the number has been publicized quite widely. So the College of Online Education is definitely doing the greatest amount of finding and using open source textbooks for students so they don't have to purchase textbooks. However, we continue to make progress on that. We have a representative on a statewide committee that is working with other librarians around the state to develop programming to support faculty in the development and locating of these resources. The library's online catalog now has an option for faculty and students to use so that when you're looking for books, you can actually select a facet that limits the search results to open access content. So that's not only an advantage to all of you, it's an advantage to your faculty when they're looking for alternative materials. The truth is, however, that faculty are dedicated to selecting the very best resources to support student learning. And open source materials are still in development. There really isn't a one-for-one equivalency across all academic disciplines. In other words, there can be a great commercially produced, published textbook in a certain area for which there really aren't open source materials yet available. So it's a slow process. We are making progress, and as I said, actually for the last 3 years, Johnson & Wales has led other institutions in the amount of money that we are saving students by using open source alternatives to commercially published textbooks.
If I can add to that, just a second, if I can add to that, to Dr. Hopper's comments, we in the College of Business are having an in-service for our faculty that's coming Friday the 24th, and on the agenda is Jen Calise, is it?
No, Jen Costell.
Costell, right.
Librarian.
A librarian from the University Library who will also be discussing open education resources to our faculty on Friday. So it is an agenda item, and it's an important topic for us as we look forward to these types of resources in the College of Business. Yes, that's this Friday.
In addition, you may or may not know this, but we have a textbook policy that faculty have to follow. And one of the things we've recognized is the current policy isn't all that friendly to open educational resources. So we're the Provost's Office and the University Curriculum Committee, which oversees what textbooks are used, they are sort of approvers of that, are working to create a textbook policy that will make it easier for faculty to choose open educational resources. And we're also working with the Faculty Council, which is like the SGA for faculty, and to put together a team and try to really incentivize faculty to think of ways to use more open educational resources. So again, something that we're very aware of, would love to reduce the cost even further. I know that the person that oversees the bookstore is also trying to work with them to reduce costs for those that, as Dr. Hopper said, that can't use open educational resources, but I think we're making good progress, and we will continue. I think every year you'll see a little bit a better option for that.
Excellent. Would anybody else like to make further comments? No? Alrighty, and then one last question before we start delving into the questions from the crowd and from our viewers online. Many students throughout the university do not fully comprehend the duties that are encompassed with the position of dean or provost. Could you expand on the duties and jobs that are within your jurisdictions, within your positions? This is up for everybody.
Let's start at the other end. Jan, you want?
Sure. So I serve as the Associate Provost for the university, and I spend much of my time working with outcomes assessment. And if you've ever looked at the university catalog, one of the things that would have been printed there for the program, and if you haven't, I'd encourage you to go ahead and do that. The faculty work very hard to identify the knowledge, skills, and behaviors that you should attain through your curriculum. And part of my major duties in the Provost's office is to make sure that our curriculum is delivering those. And the faculty are collecting information about how well that's happening, and we use that to improve the curriculum, to make sure that your courses are challenging. The other things that I do in the Provost's office is work with program review. So every so often, we take a really in-depth look at the programs. We bring in someone from the outside, from another academic institution, as well as folks from industry, and have them give us some feedback on our programs, because we're working very hard to make sure that your learning experiences here are as exceptional as they can possibly be.
In the College of Arts and Sciences as Assistant Dean, I work with faculty, I work with students who have concerns, want to come in and ask questions. I support faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences in terms of curriculum development. So everything that kind of goes into creating classes and supporting the work and supporting students and supporting faculty is really what my job entails.
As the Dean of Experiential Education and Career Services, my role is a mix of different areas that I oversee. I do oversee the operations of the Experiential Education and Career Services Office here in Providence, but I also have responsibility over consistencies with our department at the other campuses. In addition to that, I'm very involved with the curriculum process, both in terms of the curriculum that my team facilitates, which is the internship credits, the directed experiential education credits, and the career management course credits. In addition to that, credit that we are responsible for, we also provide a pipeline of employer feedback into the curriculum through the different assessment surveys that we organize around internships and directed experiential education projects. In addition to that, we are the department on campus that will host the career fairs that you see across the colleges and majors, as well as we facilitate the on-campus interviews. Last year, we had well over 1,800 interviews held on campus, so it would be ExEd and Career Services who's facilitating that. In addition, we offer walk-in service to all students who are interested in talking to somebody about career planning, job search techniques, how to use Handshake, our online job portal, et cetera. But I'll let you ask your questions about my area and pass this on.
Do you want to pass or shall I grab?
Oh, whatever
I
you
got two.
News too.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. My role as interim dean for the College of Culinary Arts is assisting in the transition to our new College of Food Innovation and Technology, as well as assisting in the semester transition. At the College of Culinary Arts, soon to be CFIT, we're different. Well, some of the classes are being changed from 11 weeks to 15 weeks. We're writing a whole new curriculum. So in my role as interim dean and more of the academic leader of the College of Culinary Arts, I'm overseeing that transition, new programs, new courses, and all of that. I am assisted by two great assistant deans, Chef Gil Stansfield and Chef TJ Deldon, who tend to pick up more of the day-to-day operations, culinary events, relationships with external experiential ed, admissions, and all of that. I'll be happy to answer any more questions that you have, because I got a whole list of activities that I do.
Susan just stole some of my thunder. As associate dean, I get involved in a lot of the day-to-day things that occur within the College of Hospitality Management. In that capacity, I meet with students, deal with students. Some people say, well, you just deal with the problem students. I get to deal with the best students. Often they have questions and issues and that, and it's terrific. And everyone's a student. Everyone deserves a voice. Everyone needs to be heard and assisted. On top of that, the College of Hospitality Management is 48 years old, not 104 like the business college, but 48, and which I think made us like the third hospitality college in the country. And we have an awful lot of senior alums who are running organizations around the world. And a big part of my job, a little different than some other folks, is just dealing with these people and dealing with industry relationships. Having those strong relationships gets those companies to come in and recruit our students. And as I say in orientation, these companies don't come in because they like me. They come in because our alums have been successful, and they want more people like that. As other folks, I do deal with the other campuses. It's the same curriculum delivered on all 4 campuses. So I deal with the department chairs and that on the other places too. So.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out in the cold. I admire you. So I'm Laura Galligan. I am the Dean of the College of Health and Wellness, and the College of Health and Wellness is the newest college. My job is to implement the mission of that college, and that has to do with promoting holistic and humanistic care in a way that is equitable. And when we talk about equity in health, we're talking about eliminating systematic differences that can be avoided. So, for example, you're probably aware that people will get better health care from a provider who looks like them. So one of the things that we try to do is to promote that our graduate programs are made up of folks who look like the population, much like our undergraduates. So we've done a number of things to recruit students from our own undergraduate programs, like have competitive pathways and educate students about the programs that we have, and also eliminate barriers that we see. So, for example, the physician assistant program discovered there's a lot of research showing that GREs do not predict performance in physician assistant programs. So we're eliminating that as a requirement for our physician assistant programs to eliminate that barrier that might keep out well-prepared students that unnecessarily. So I do a lot of other things that the deans do as well, but I think that the mission is the most important thing.
Good evening. I'm Frank Tweedy. I'm the Dean of the College of Engineering and Design. And the College of Engineering and Design is a small college, but it is very diverse from the programs that we have, from engineering to computer science to design, and even in the mindset of how the students take care of their business. It's very different from an engineer to the design. And my job is to manage that difference, and especially in the faculty, and to try to provide the resources necessary so that they can meet their needs and meet the students' needs. So I do a lot of the other work, managing budget and oversight of the curriculum, as all the other deans do. But we also look to see if we can tighten up our connections with industry to bring project work into the building, and also expand on our innovation center, go after certifications that can help our students even position themselves better when they hit the marketplace when they get out there. So, you know, it's a lot of fun. And I have a great assistant dean in Nick Lamanna. And, you know, we have an open door policy for students. Anyone's welcome to come in, and I'll give you a tour. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lou DeBrosco. I'm the Dean of the College of Business, the oldest college within the university. Started in, I'm not the oldest in the university, but we have the oldest college in the university. As you know, or as you may know, Johnson Wales back in 1914 started as a business school with one student and one, I won't say typewriter, but one keyboard, I guess. Maybe that's the more appropriate term. But I manage a fairly large operation. The College of Business is housed in 3 buildings on 2 campuses. We have 3 undergraduate departments, accounting and finance, which is over on Mathewson Street in the Academic Center, along with the doctoral program in occupational therapy. We have the management department and the marketing department here in Xavier, and we have a Department of Graduate Business Programs over on the Harborside campus. We also have a large CE population. I just looked at the numbers for the winter term. We had 205 students in the evening division as well, taking courses, undergraduate courses in CE. And we also have a DBA program, which is in its 2nd year of operation, and that director reports directly to me also, and she's out. That's Julie Bilodeau, who's housed down at the Charlotte campus. Okay, DBA is a Doctor of Business Administration degree, okay, which is obviously a doctoral degree, one step higher than the master's degree. It's strictly online. We started with a cohort last year in 2018. There are 12 students currently in that program. We have 20 in our in the first year of our 2nd year delivery of that program. And we just hired a full-time faculty member for that as well, in addition to additional faculty members that are here on campus and at other campuses that are teaching in that program. I have a great associate dean in Kathleen Grady, who helps with the day-to-day operations, because most of the time I'm out at meetings and troubleshooting, okay, which is normal for deans. Again, overseeing a large budget as well, and about 50 full-time faculty, both undergraduate and graduate. And that's sort of where we're at this point. Also, a couple other things. The last year or so, we spent a lot of time revamping our curriculum, okay? Not only for conversion to semesters, but also to come up with a new foundation or core of courses to help position ourselves as we move toward business school accreditation, which is in our strategic plan for the next few years as well. Okay, so there's a lot happening.
Okay. So research consistently shows that students who use the library do better academically, have a higher rate of graduation, and are overall leading more successful lives academically. So my job, in a nutshell, is to get you to use the library and to get as many students as possible to use the library. Obviously, there are a lot of elements involved in that job. But if I wanted you to go back to your friends and say, well, what does a dean of libraries do? She's there to see that you use the library. And if you're not using the library, either physically coming to the library, which is a physical space, but is also an online space, then I want to know why. So please write to me. If you have not touched library resources or come to the library, please tell me why.
So I'm Billy O'Clair, I'm the provost, and the provost is the chief academic officer of the institution, which means what all these people said, the buck really stops here. And all these people report to me, so I'm their boss, but I have the best job because I also get to oversee the strategic direction of the academic part of the institution. And I know we want to get on with questions, so I'm going to leave it at that. And you want to know more, feel free to contact me or ask questions.
Alrighty, so we are going to get into the student questions at this time. Just a reminder for anybody who is watching our live streams on YouTube or on Instagram, you can ask your questions through the comment system on there. I have both live streams playing up here so that I can see those questions as well. So if you want to ask your questions through those mediums, please feel free to do so, and I will more than certainly read those out as well. We are going to start with a few anonymous questions that came through on our form. So one of the first questions that came through is, why are we switching to semesters instead of trimesters? And will this affect those individuals who are already of senior status?
So there's one of the things that you should check out if you haven't already is there's a web page that answers a lot of questions about semesters. So make sure that if you're looking for resources regarding the move to semesters that you check out that web page. The decision was made about, so I've been here 5 years, and it wasn't long after I started that we decided to move to semesters. And it was for a variety of reasons. One is the term that we're in, the winter term. You all know it's difficult to start right after Thanksgiving. You go to class for about 3 weeks, then you go home for 2 weeks, and by the time you come back, it's almost like you have to start all over again. And so that's not the best way to learn. So the winter term has always been a struggle for faculty, and we've heard it from students as well. Another reason is that it helps with students that want to transfer into the institution, and for those that want to leave, and we hope they're few and far between. But again, if you make up your mind in February that you want to transfer to another institution, that's harder too. And one of the goals that the federal government has given to colleges and universities is to try to make it as easy as possible for students to transfer into your institution and transfer out of your institution. Perhaps one of the biggest reasons is what Dr. Dean Young talked about at the other end of the table for experiential ed. For our internship programs, many of our employers were saying, we want students for 15 weeks. We don't want them just for 11 weeks. By the time we get to 11 weeks, they're just sort of hitting the ground and becoming valuable to us, and if we could have them for another 4 weeks, that would be great. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dean Young, but I believe that some employers wouldn't take our students because they weren't 15 weeks. So that was really also one of the guiding reasons why we went. And then lastly, there are some courses that are just really difficult to teach in 11 weeks. Statistics, I teach anatomy and physiology, many of the science courses, and as we're expanding our science programs, 15 weeks to learn the amount of material that you need to learn is just a better way of teaching the material, but also for you to be able to retain more of that information. So for a variety of reasons, that's why we're doing that. It does not affect anybody's status. So all your 4.5 credit courses will be converted to 3 credit courses, and you will only need 120 credits to graduate versus the 180 that you now have to have. The deans and faculty worked very hard to make sure for those of you who are in transition, either current juniors or sophomores or freshmen, that there is a pathway, that there is a really a plan for you to follow, but it's really important that you talk to your faculty advisor and your academic counselor and make sure that you have a good plan for that transition, because you could get left behind a little bit if you're not really careful about your planning. And that starts now. So you're already registering for spring courses. Make sure you know for next year what you need to take so that you can set yourself up for that this year. So please, 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 if there's any message that I'd like to give to you tonight, it's to make sure that you're planning for the semester change, that you're working with your faculty advisor and your academic counselor to make sure that you are set up for success when we move to semesters. Anybody want to add anything?
Does anybody else want to comment on that?
We do have, I have an assistant, and she was the associate dean in arts and sciences, Chris. Thank you, Chris Thompson, and she's here. And so if there are any questions about semesters, she'll be able to help me answer those.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'd also like to remind everybody that if you do have questions and you'd rather ask them in person, please come up to either one of the mics on either side of the room. It is sort of a free-for-all. They will be moderated, but please. And we have a question, so I'll start over here. Please you can state your name and then your question.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Should I get? Okay, great. I'm kind of short. Get closer. How about now? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kephart. I'm a senior in the College of Culinary Arts. I'm a C4 bachelor, or CABS bachelor, we call it. All the cool kids call it C4. I also have taken a lot of leadership on campus. So I'm a sister of Delta Zeta sorority, and I'm also president of National Student Organizations. I wrote down on my phone my question because I'm extremely nervous right now. So you're the best. So I've really enjoyed being engaged both in and out of the classroom, but there seems to be a gap between the classroom and student involvement. As a university, especially on the culinary campus, we pride ourselves on producing the best students and the best chefs that could ever be in the workforce. But the involvement outside of the classroom is really what makes us it takes us that step above anybody else in the workforce. So my proposition is to encourage our professors to encourage their students to get involved on campus, whether it's built into the curriculum or it's added into professional or participation points. It could help our students take that first step into leadership. My voice is shaking, I'm so nervous, and I'm never like this. My first, I guess it's that, on culinary, we're weird, and we have the chef advisor. My chef advisor, Chef Rizwan Ahmed, he gave us the tour on the first day of school of the culinary campus, and he told me about Skills USA, and that's literally what got me to be a part of NSO and being a senior NSO president. I think it's so worthwhile just to have that one little push to get people involved.
Thoughts, comments?
May I?
Of course.
So one of the things I'm really excited about for our transition to semesters for the College of Food Innovation Technology or College of Culinary Arts is the fact that every semester students will be taking both academic classes and lab classes throughout their 4 years of study. So rather than a student, for instance, taking all AM labs from 7 to 1 every day, Monday through Thursday, and sometimes Friday, or 1:45 to 7:45, Monday through Thursday, and sometimes Friday, they'll actually have 2 days a week where they're not in class that long, and they'll be more available to participate in activities outside of their labs, which I'm really excited about. I think it's something that they've longed for as well. I know it's something that we've complained about, not only administration, but students and faculty as well, as why are they having this? We have class, kind of thing. One of the things I was also going to say, and it just slipped my mind, I'm sorry. Oh, and one of the things about transitioning to semesters is that while we have 5 Fridays of class in our term system, we will have no Fridays in our semester delivery system. So that is fabulous and for everybody. So, yeah.
Hi, can you hear me? Wait.
There you go.
Okay, my name is Melissa Sarcona. I'm a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences. I am FSLT academic chairwoman, and I'm a member of Delta Phi Epsilon. And Order of Omega president. I don't know if you're the correct group of people to ask, but since you're here, how come we do not have any statues of our founders of Johnson & Wales, yet we have John Gabey obviously Gabey Commons is named after him, but we were founded by 2 women, and most people don't know that. We've got pictures of all the men hanging around, but what about the people who founded us?
Who wants to address that? It's open for everybody.
I don't know if we have an answer to that, but we're certainly going to bring it forward to the chancellor.
Thank you.
I mean, there is a public art committee, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a committee that looks at creating cultural, icons and iconography and exhibits. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great.
I mean, we have several pictures of them around, but no statues. A good point.
But I think a good opportunity to elevate our founders is during Founders Week, and maybe that's something that I can work with the committee on that and bring that concern there.
Just because I know there used to be their pictures in the library, but then it obviously got painted over, so.
We do have, we have
I'm not
other,
sure
we
what
have
that,
portraits
I don't know what you're referring
as
to.
well.
Never
The
mind.
murals on the first
I'm
floor
mistaken.
by admissions.
Sorry.
Oh, the mural in the Yenna
yeah,
Center.
the mural.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention there are also some really well-done documentaries about the history of our university, beginning with the 2 founding women. Are those videos available through the library?
They are available through the library. And yeah, of course, there are many resources, but I think your point is that you would like more public attention even beyond the university, and I think that's a great idea. And I mean, I've heard a lot of people proclaiming the fact that currently our leadership at the top of the organization is also comprised of women. So your chancellor, your president, your provost, so.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to bring it up to some higher up people.
Hello, hi. My name is Dwayna Rose. I think, I sent you guys a couple of emails, but I'm the president of student government on our campus. And I just would like to say again, thank you guys for coming, especially in the cold. Especially everybody that's here, it takes a lot. So I really appreciate that. One of the things I wanted to say is I think that we do a really good job of giving students the opportunity, to find their careers in college as an undergraduate and in their masters. We have plenty of facets in terms of like the career fair and bringing different people in. But one of the things I feel like a lot of students struggle with is when we do have the career fairs or we do have those opportunities, they are in class. So I wanted to propose if there was any way that we could make it so that way students can go with their professors or like go during class, make it more appropriate.
Yes, this is Sherry Young again, Dean of Experiential Education and Career Services. So we have started a campaign this year to educate students, faculty, and even parents. Career events fall under the university's sanctioned event policy, which means they are opportunities for you to take an excused absence from your class in order to attend. Now, some students will say that, well, I don't actually want to miss class. but I'd still like to go to the fair, and now I have to choose. So the answer to that is to work with your faculty member well in advance of the fair so it's not a surprise, and then figure out how to ensure you get all of the content that you would be missing in the course that day and be able to meet the course objectives and the assignments given. So really, it's a matter of my team better educating and making students aware that they already have this ability, and we take that responsibility seriously, so hopefully you're going to hear more and more about that, especially coming into the semester systems.
Thank you so
for
much.
that question.
Thank you.
And I will say Dr. Young called me one morning on my drive in to work one day, because sometimes that's just where we can only talk, and talked about the timing of Career Day and the expo, and whether it, 10 to 2 is the right time, or should be 11 to 3, or what. So that kind of thing is being discussed as well. Can't do it for this academic year because times are already posted, but we are looking at that for the next academic year.
And I will say, I also think that the move to semesters will help with this too, because right now where you're at academic class, academic classes are 2 hours, and semesters are only 75 minutes. So one, you'd be missing less content if you missed one day, but two, you might be able to fit it in a little bit better.
Okay. And one more question. So I'm not really sure this is a personal question, but going into internships, do I have the opportunity to do more than one, depending on my my credits, or just stay to one internship specifically?
So thank you for bringing up internships. I'm going to use it just to go into a little bit of detail about what I'd like every student here to take away and hopefully share with their friends and roommates. The number one thing you should be doing right now, if you are planning to participate in internship next year, is come in to see us in Experiential Education and Career Services. In fact, registration for internship doesn't open till February 3rd, but students who come in and see us now will get priority registration. So what we're going to be doing is working with you ahead of registration to determine the term you're eligible and the term you prefer. Because once registration opens up on February 3rd, it typically fills up quickly, especially for the required majors. And now in semesters, you're going to also be needing to look at courses in order to maintain full-time or even full-time status or progress towards graduation. So the sooner we start talking with you individually about it, the better. To answer your question, there are several variables that go into answering that for every single student. For example, your college and your major will have different eligibility requirements. You will also have different amount of credits available, whether they're called experiential learning credits or they're free elective credits. So really sitting down to talk about what you've done, how many credits you've earned, what your GPA is, what is the sequencing of the courses in your major that you need to work internship around. All of these go into answering that specific question for you. But I will say with the semester changes, I'm really pleased to see an increase in free electives across the majority of majors, that even if you've already done an internship, I do see a lot of room for students to take an additional internship. So come in and see us and we'll figure it out with you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Just to put a plug in, because she didn't do it, tomorrow is the Government and Nonprofit Career Fair. And the
Frank.
Technology Career Fair, and I've asked my faculty to let the students go.
Good.
Hello, my name is Fidi. I'm a freshman. I'm me. So actually, I have two questions, but the first one is out of curiosity, right? So why did JWU adopt the trimester system in the first place? I'm just kind of curious. I don't know if there should be a question or not. So, secondly, I came in kind of late, so I don't know if there is an international student person here. But I had a question about the international students because I realized that international students cannot do internship their first year, second year, till the third year. Secondly, international students cannot do anything during the summer if there is no employment for them on campus. So does that mean they get to go back home every summer after the year, like even if they don't want to go back or if they don't have the need to go back? What is there for international students to do during the summer?
So I can answer the questions about internship and we call what the government refers to internship for international students is CPT, which is curricular practical training. And so you have to be on campus of the institution. In our past system, it was 3 consecutive terms. So it really should have been possible after you completed 1 full academic year at the institution. I'm not aware that it would take any longer than that to be eligible, but that certainly would be a question for international student services. And then you're right, international students cannot work in the US. They can only work on campus of the institution they attend. That is not a university policy. That is a regulation through the what is the new name for it? It's not INS anymore, it's CVIS, is that correct?
Yes.
So that's their stipulation, not the universities. And then you probably are aware when you graduate, you qualify for OPT, which is optional practical training. I got all my abbreviations going on. And so we will work with you to search for an option for that program when you get closer to graduation. You have up to 1 year to work within the US in order to gain that experience before you go home.
The main thing we have to do is make sure that all our international students stay true to their visas. And so that is the international office that doesn't report up through academics, but we work very closely with them to make sure that the way our classes are operated and the way the internships are run, make sure that they aren't violating their visas, because that's the most important piece.
And you always have the opportunity to take classes over the summer as well. You know, I've worked with international students for many years, and many would take classes over the summer.
Especially grad students.
Yeah, I'm still curious though, why we're in trimesters.
Oh, yeah, why did, Rosie?
I believe that the quarters, and I may be wrong, but I believe that quarters were perceived to be more convenient for people who wanted to be experiencing their careers, who already were working in the working world, so that it was possible for people to start their higher education at any time during the year. So if we're on semesters, basically you can only start in fall or spring. But if you're on quarters, admissions could be sort of continual throughout the year. So people could start fall and then late fall. You know, there were more opportunities for people to begin their education. And so I think it's connected to the experiential quality of the university, which is devoted to people who are either in careers or preparing for careers. I think that's the connection. I don't think it dates from when this was a secretarial school back in 1914. I think it's more from when Dr. Gaby and Triangelo bought the institution and turned it into a college, really.
Dr. Dabrowska and I have been here since 1984. 1986 for you? I must be older than you. I started when I was 2.
86 for me.
And it's always been trimesters. And I don't know, I think what Rosie said is true, and I think it had to be with the type of institution we were at that time, too. We were career-oriented. vocational in the intent of knowing we're workforce training, and we've come a long way, baby, since then.
Also, the philosophy was to take fewer courses at one time, so you could concentrate more on the courses, if you will. That was the philosophy
Quicker and
and the
faster.
work. Exactly. That was that was really one of the major reasons for that. You would still take the same amount of courses over the course of a year, 10 courses, but you'd be taking fewer at one time, which will allow you also to work. One of the philosophies was the upside-down curriculum, the 4-day school week, and where you could work, at your job on Friday, Saturday, Sundays, if you will, that type of thing. But really taking fewer courses at once to concentrate on those rather than like 5 at once, as you will be doing with the move towards semesters.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Good stuff.
Hi there. My name is Dean Feldman. I am a junior in the College of Culinary Arts, majoring in culinary nutrition. I have 2 questions, mainly about my major itself. A lot of my friends who couldn't get into the senior junior level labs, they're only offered once a term for 1 day a week, who have like sports teams, religious issues, or availability, so that's the only time they can take that class, have a hindrance amongst others who, like, even though myself, I do have priorities, that kind of stuff. I was able to get into my labs fine, but friends of mine who have the same priorities that I do weren't able to get into APC, SPA, or vegetarian cuisine, or food science, which are the 4 main labs for culinary nutrition and dietetics, that they weren't able to get into the labs. It's only once a week, and it's only offered once a try. So wondering why it offered once a try, once a week. And I have some professors and chefs who haven't graded much things, assignments for production grades or quizzes that are in class, and we're going into week 6. And for my classes, I have 2 grades in. So even though I have a C in the lab right now, with my production grades, I should have an A. So I was wondering why the professors and chefs don't put in grades in right away as they should be.
Hi, Dean.
Hi.
So one of the things about the 1 day a week nutrition labs, basically bless you, the number of labs that are offered through an academic year is based on the student numbers in the program. So in this case, both dietetics and your culinary nutrition students would be taking those classes. I believe as we transition into semesters and taking our population now, instead of dividing it by 3, but dividing it by 2, you'll see multiple sections of each course offered every semester. So that piece will be fixed. You started to say something about grading, and I missed that.
So some professors and chefs of mine, not necessarily in the College of Culinary Arts, but in general, they haven't put any grades in at all, and we're going into week 6, or we have only 3 grades in the grade book. So say like my production grades for labs, we get graded like each day off of production, like what we do, what we make, and so forth. Those grades haven't been in, and we're going to day 6 in my lab on Friday. And for some classes, like academic classes, like I'm taking a food writing class right now, and our professor's not putting a single grade in the grade book, and we had 2 projects due already.
We don't like that. Just first.
Yeah, I just want to know how I'm doing in these classes, I'm completely honest.
And I absolutely, and you deserve to know, and that's the purpose of our Blackboard system and our ULearn system and the Grade Center, so you can see. I know lots of times students don't want to give up the names of faculty, and I'm not going to ask you to do that here tonight. But if it is within any one of our colleges, I think it's important that we know so we can follow up and assist that faculty in getting those grades posted as they need to be. We have a standard for that in our 9-day labs for sure, in our 11-week labs as well, and in our academic classes. And
so I'm going to give a plug for the course evaluations. We have very low participation by students in their course evaluations, and that could be for a variety of reasons. But that's one of the places where you can express your voice and tell us how we can do better. The faculty get those evaluations not till after grades are in, and they're completely anonymous, so they have no idea who has submitted those. But also the department chairs, and in some cases, if the dean feels that there's an issue, they will review those as well. And some of you may review them on a regular basis anyway. But that's your place where we can, if there's something going wrong, for you to be able to tell us that that's happening. And we do take those seriously. We have had faculty members that have, we've talked to and said, this isn't acceptable. You didn't put grades until week 10. Dean Marshall's right. You deserve to know that. So please, this is a plug for you to please complete those course evaluations and give us constructive feedback. Don't always complain, but if there are issues that you think need to be brought to our attention, please do that so in a constructive way.
Yeah, I still want to mention that these professors are not bad professors at all. They're very
Right.
influential and very helpful. It's just one thing my classes are getting, my friends in my classes are having these issues, not just myself.
Right, yeah, and we're aware of them. We've tried to do more training with faculty on how to use the grade book more effectively and how important it is for our students to know what they're doing so that they can be successful. So we continue to work on that with faculty. But
Great, thank you
for
so
bringing
much.
that to- Yep, thank you.
Alrighty. Just real quickly. Hello? 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 Okay, cool. There we go. Just wanted to make sure. Real quickly, before we continue on, there are several questions that have come in from our viewers on Instagram and on YouTube. So we are going to address a couple of their questions so that they can get the answers that they want as well. So one question is, what will the SHARP program requirements be when the semester change becomes in effect? The minimum for classes is changing, so how will this affect SHARP?
Chris, do you want to answer that? I'm going to ask Dr. Thompson to answer that question.
Oh, we have a guest speaker over on the side.
And we're going to have a guest on the other side of it.
Direct your attention to the end.
I'm going to turn around so I'm facing.
Oh, all right.
That's good.
Will, why don't you just take the mic off the stand?
Yeah, can,
Oh, okay.
what's that?
If you want to take the mic and just.
Oh, it's fine, I'll just, I'll stand right here. Let's see, so as we move into semesters with the SHARP program, currently there is an application process, and even students who come in through admissions that as first-time freshmen are going into that program. So that's one of the pieces that changes, is that students won't go into the SHARP program until after they've been here for at least one semester. And then following that is that a student who maintains a GPA, and I want to say it's 3.6, but I'm not certain I remember exactly where it is right now, but as long as students maintain a 3.6 cumulative GPA, then they may take extra courses without charge. And so currently most students at JWU will take 15 credits or 5 courses per semester, and students may take and again, this is referring to most students, will be able to take 18 credits, that is 6 courses if they want to do that, but if they are in SHARP, they can take more than that. So automatically they'll be able to register for additional credits, but without having additional tuition charges attached to that. And that means they can accelerate their program, again, for a well-prepared, academically prepared student. That might be the right thing to do. One of the pieces that students have to look at if they're in SHARP is how will accelerating that impact how I move forward with my degree, because it might end up that in another semester, the course, you might end up with a lower level of credits because you've already taken a course in advance. So you might not be able to accelerate every term, just as now, or every semester. So I hope that answers the question.
Wonderful. Alrighty, and we do have just a couple more that we want to address really quick. So this one, it will be mostly directed at Dean Dobrowska. So why is accounting required for non-accounting majors when every major corporation will have its own accounting firm?
Simply put, accounting is a language of business. Every graduate out of the College of Business, okay, really needs to take accounting because, again, it is the language of business, and whether in marketing or international business or HR or whatever major you would be in, or facet, I should say, of business, everyone has to know financial statements, not how to complete them, but how to interpret them and use them for decision-making.
just to add to that too, as we're moving towards programmatic accreditation,
Yeah.
that's a requirement of any
Yeah.
accrediting agency that accredits business programs.
Right.
So that's another reason.
Excellent.
Hope that answers it.
Thank you both. And then we'll hit one more, because I know we have a couple people who want to ask in person. This is another anonymous question. In classes that are longer than your typical class, the example they gave was FSM 4061. Why does this class only count for 4.5 credits, even though it's a different time length than your average class?
It runs longer because the actual lab component is computed in a different way. Hour for hour, it isn't equal as to when you're in a classroom. So 4061, the bistro class, meets 1 day a week in a regular classroom, and then 1 day a week in a lab in which they actually operate the restaurant.
Okay. And that's true for all the lab courses. So if you're taking science classes, it's the same way, that the number of hours that we can count towards a credit are different in lab or experience, the more hands-on, non-academic part of the programs. So that's, again, a federal requirement.
All righty, excellent. I'm going to turn it over to this side again. We have a couple more questions live.
Hi, how are you? I would just first like to say thank you all for coming out tonight. It means a lot to me because I get to ask my questions to the people that are high up in the school's hierarchy, I would say. But I'm Molly. I am the president of the Fraternity Sorority Leadership Team, and I am a senior with in the food service management baking pastry program. I have a couple questions. So I'm in an ILS right now. It's an ILS 4000, and I do enjoy ILSs. I believe that it's almost like a free elective that I get to take. I took capital punishment one time, and it was really interesting. It was like out of my major. But I'm in an ILS right now, and a professor was absent for the first 4 weeks. She was covered by another professor. So when I was getting used to this one professor's whole aspect of how she taught, how she graded, and how she ran her classroom, and then abruptly, right before midterms and right before projects started being picking up, it swapped like abruptly, and now I have to learn to adjust to a whole nother professor, which I feel like is very difficult to adapt in that sort of way. So I was just saying, why wouldn't we just keep the same professor? If the one professor is going to be out for that long of time period, why not just keep that same professor? Why just switch them in the middle of a trimester is really what I'm asking.
Dr. Sinersha, do you want to take it?
Well, I was going to say that, I'm sorry that, you're experiencing this right now, and it's something that we try our best, everyone up here, to make sure that the experience that you have here at Johns Wales is the best experience. Unfortunately, there are going to be instances where faculty members have to leave for extended periods of times, and when they return, we need to get them back in the classroom per their contractual obligations. So I do apologize for that, but I don't know if Provost O'Clair wants to discuss a little bit more about that.
I was going to say a similar thing. It's not ideal, we understand that, but faculty are under contract, and so they need to fulfill that contract. If they're out on medical leave, and that's usually what's happening, then we try to get them back into the classroom. And we know it's disruptive to students. And I think the person that's fulfilling the class, as well as the person coming back, they try to work together, but of course, everybody has different teaching styles, so yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, I didn't know about the contract, so thank you for lightening that up for me. Another question I have is in the food innovation technology major, or the switch that's changing from culinary arts. I'm a senior, so I'm not going to be here for the change, but I want to know, you said that labs are only going to be every other day in academics. Do you think, so labs are going to be 15 days? Is that the correct length now? Is that going to be a more overload of courses now that you're going to have labs and then also academics, or are they going to work with students to work with the change?
So students in semesters in the College of Food Innovation and Technology most students will be taking 2 labs and 3 academics per semester. Labs will run 15 days, 7.5 weeks.
Okay.
So a student will take a lab for the first 7.5 weeks, let's say on Monday and Wednesday, and pick up, and that lab will end just like a 9-day lab ends now. And then they will pick up the second lab Monday and Wednesday for the rest of the term. And the academic classes they'll take on the opposite days, Tuesday, Thursday, and those will run the full 15, 16-week semester. So a student will have a total of 4 classes at any one time that they'll be taking, not 5, because they've only taken 1 lab at a time, but still achieving the 15 credits for the semester.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Miles. I'm an entrepreneurship major, and I was just curious, why was the entrepreneurship center moved from the TACO building to the new building?
Okay, my understanding relative to that was that the facility in TACO was designed for, not redesigned, reconfigured to accommodate the new production lab for the media degree program in A&S. And we did get new space down at Harborside. I don't know if you've seen it or not, over in the museum there. You haven't been down there. That was opened this past July, last spring, I should say. The space has worked out very well for us so far. We are running Shockfest. I don't know if you've heard of that yet. Have you heard about that? And hopefully you or some of your student peers will be applying for that. We've got some applications already, but that's where we're relocated, and we're there every day, 5 days a week. Deb Giblin is the administrative assistant, and we do have faculty running in and out of there, both from the graduate area as well as undergraduate area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Regina Raymond, and I'm also a senator for SGA. And the question that I have is, I'm a junior going on to my senior year, and I was wondering for also all the juniors that are going into the semesters, what if the classes that I have remaining is not equivalent to the minimum that you guys require for like FAFSA and all that? Is it 5 classes, right? Like what if I have to only 3 classes left to take? How will that affect my FAFSA and just like the minimum requirements?
So if beginning next year, if you only have 3 classes left to take?
I'm just saying for others that, because I think I have 6 left. I don't want to overload myself taking all of them, and one of them I can't take back to back, together. I have to, it's like one going into the next one, if that makes sense. It's a 3,000 and 4,000. What if I can't take all 6 classes in one semester and I have to divide it into let's say 3, or however it plays out?
So to be full-time, you have to be registered for 12 credits, so that's 4 courses. You can be less than that, but it could affect your financial aid and your ability to get loans and things like that. So you want to really work closely with your financial advisor to make sure that you remain compliant and full-time if you need to do that. You should be able to work with both either your faculty advisor or your academic counselor now to plan that out. They should know. We're working on the schedule for next year. The Student Academic Services are working very closely to make sure that the courses that students need will be available to them. There's always going to be a one-off, you may be that student, but as soon as, which is supposed to be what, the middle of February, Dr. Thompson? For the projections for next year. So I would stay in very close contact with your especially your academic counselor, to make sure they'll know, and they'll know probably the middle of February exactly when those courses will be. So hopefully before the next term starts, so that you can adjust if you need to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And just remember, if you want to be full-time, you have to be in 4 courses.
4?
4 for next year. Yep.
I just want to note that if it is your last semester here, that does adjust. If you only have 2 classes left, your financial aid will cover you for that, even though it's less than full-time.
Okay, that's
right?
That's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, I learned something.
Alrighty, we have another question from our online viewers through the Instagram feed. So the question is, what does the university plan to do with the building that looks closed but has the JWU insignia on it on the corner of Richmond Street and Clifford Street? That. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a Rhode Island native and I don't know streets here, so I don't know where that is. Oh,
well, the Hotel Providence, the one across from Hotel Providence is where accounting and occupational therapy is. But this is Clifford and Richmond, right? So that's over here.
That's on Matheson Street.
I mean, I know that the university is looking into, for buildings that we're not using, to sell them, if we no longer need them. I'm not aware of actually what the plans are for that. It may just be that we may divest ourselves of that building, but I don't think there's any plans to use it right now.
All right, there you go. And then we'll take a couple more of the questions off of the form right here. Let's see here. So one of the questions that was asked is, in regards to the SEE industry and other hospitality majors, would it be possible to give students access to event-specific software like CrowdCompass, Cvent, and even Bright within their courses to gain experience and awareness of software that will be used in their future careers?
I know that Cvent, I thought, is being used by some faculty, because I know faculty have talked to me about using that in class and using some of that, software. So, I mean, some of it's being used right now. If there's other software out there that our faculty aren't using that they should be using, students should talk to the faculty member. But, you know, we have people, some of our faculty just left full-time positions in running events within the last 3 years. So they're pretty up to date on what's, and sometimes it's not what's being used today, but what will be used 2, 3, 4 years from now that we hope our faculty are showing students. So I don't know if that answered your question. So.
Yep. Alrighty, and then we have a few more here. Another question that was asked was, why are associate degree members not able to take on a minor?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, the question that was posed is, why are associate degree members not able to take on a minor?
Take online classes?
Take
A minor.
A minor.
A minor.
Well, there's just simply not any room in the curriculum.
Yeah, for the associate degree in culinary arts or baking and pastry arts, and I can't speak for engineering, there are no free electives to be able to take that.
Okay.
So you actually have to build into a master's, a bachelor degree, which will have free electives, and then they can select a minor.
Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So this is a general question to everybody on the panel. Where do you see JWU progressing in the future, and what do you want to see from students as we move forward? Big question, I know.
Well, I think you've seen a little bit of the direction the institution is taking. The College of Food Innovation and Technology, for example, we know that we're one of the, if not the best school for culinary education. But we want to expand our reach into other areas related to food, so food policy and food sustainability, which is one of the new majors that's starting next year, and all things related to food. So we don't want people to know Johnsonville is just for our wonderful chefs, but for our expertise in other areas related for food. The other area, which is Dean Galligan's area, is health and wellness, and related to food, right? So much of what we eat is related to our health. So the other area that the university is expanding into is to really become more known for the health and wellness areas. We already have physician's assistant and occupational therapy and the health sciences program, but more so in those areas as well. And I think what you're going to see is, as well as an expansion into more arts and sciences programs, having more programs that are accredited by professional organizations like the business school and the hospitality programs. Many of the health and wellness programs already have to be accredited, so more of a focus on that. Engineering and design is also looking into becoming accredited in specific areas. So I think we want to elevate the academic profile of the institution, become known as an outstanding institution for other things other than our hospitality and culinary programs, and I think we're making decisions based on that. So anybody else want to add?
That's great. Good answer.
I knew Dean Galligan would want to add.
She knew I would have something to add. So one of the things that we're trying to really think about in the College of Health and Wellness, elevating the university, but also the students within it, by having lots of opportunities for students for competitive pathways into different degrees, 3+3 opportunities for accelerated pathways to graduate school, dual degrees where matching maybe a master's in one area with another area would make sense, so, or even a doctor of science with another degree would make sense. So for example, a lot of, in health, a lot of doctorates are the initial degree for practice,
like an occupational therapy doctorate, for example. But that's not a doctorate that really teaches a lot about how to be a faculty member. So matching that with another doctoral degree, doctor, and then you would have a healthcare faculty member. So, so trying to have those connections from undergrad to graduate and then across graduate, and then of course interdisciplinary between programs. That's all.
Each college
And colleges.
Yeah, each college is developing 5-year plans right now. We're working with some outside people from that are in higher ed consultants to help us do that. I know that engineering and design is working also on specialized labs and certifications. So anything we can do to help elevate the university is something that we're interested in.
Dean Strish.
Do you want to go, Frank? You go first.
You sure?
Yeah, go right ahead.
The College of Engineering and Design, we are really looking to try to elevate the conversation from the students and the faculty by providing them with the resources that will take them to the next level. So specialized accreditations from the national security agencies for our cyber program, building a lab to support the biomedical program, which is going to be brand new next year. Our integrated product design, it's a new way of looking at industrial design as it incorporates the Internet of Things, and to also provide access so students can compete out there with other colleges, which we've been very successful, and expanding our role in engineering, which we feel that we can do this as long as we get the students who are prepared and are willing to really take that step into an engineering, very difficult program. So our direction really is to elevate the students and the faculty to a different level of conversation in the community and industry, and that's the biggest goal that we have.
Like every college up here, really what we want to do is make sure that we create a pathway for students to succeed and be successful, whether that is through interdisciplinary studies where we're all going to be working together and creating programs that students can interact with various colleges, not just the one college that they're getting their degree in, but we're also preparing students for jobs that yet exist. That is something that we're doing in the College of Arts and Sciences with our interdisciplinary studies design your own major program. We're also creating an explorations pathway where, there are students who definitely want to come to Johnson & Wales, but they're not really sure what they want to do yet. And so this is a pathway that's going to allow students to come to Johnson & Wales, explore some of the majors, and then decide, all right, what major do I want to go into? I know everyone up here is doing their best in terms of when we transition to semesters to have more choice for students. And in addition to that choice, we want to make sure that students have the ability to work with experiential ed and career services. I know the College of Arts and Sciences worked alongside experiential ed and career services to make sure that while a student is getting, a degree from the College of Arts and Sciences, they're also going to have that experiential education component with required internships. So I know everyone up here is making sure that we're looking to the future and we're expanding and we're working together to make sure that we create these pathways for students to be well-rounded and to be prepared for those jobs that yet exist.
All right, I'd like to add a little bit to that, if I could, to complement what my colleagues are saying, and I speak with employers often, and my team interacts with employers often, and you should know, if you don't know, that the reputation of our students is that they are willing and eager to roll up their sleeves. There's a bunch of cliches. Roll up their sleeves, hit the ground running. In fact, they will often describe our students as being having a bit more realistic expectations than graduates of other universities that they work with. So this is something that you own as students here, that your reputation is one that you're not afraid to work on a problem, to ask questions. You have a positive attitude. You're lauded for your professionalism and your work ethic. So I bring this up because as we think about what we see our students doing in the future, everything you do now on campus is leveraging you for that discussion, whether it's going into graduate school or going out in the field, working for an employer, opening up your own company. And everything you're doing is actually increasing the value of a Johnson & Wales education, not only for yourselves, but for the future students. So I don't know if you hear that often, how you're seen from industry's perspective, but this is not something that's just said amongst a certain group of employers. Any employer I talk to, whether it's business or even in our criminal justice programs, in our culinary programs, of course, they're all saying the same thing. There's something about our students that resonates with employers.
Alrighty, and we have one more question over here.
Hi, I'm Gabi Silver. I'm a senator on SGA here. A few quick questions. First of all, can you talk a little bit about the campuses? For example, why, Denver, Charlotte, Miami, how those got to be there? And then a little bit about do they govern on their own, or are they kind of overseen by you guys? And do you, on a weekly basis, for example, talk to the deans of those colleges, and how you kind of maintain a standard university, but also have those, smaller campuses exist?
So throughout Johnson & Wales history, we've always been entrepreneurial, right? So I think when an opportunity arose that people wanted, the administration thought was a good opportunity, they would grab it. So I think that's true for Miami and for Denver especially. We used to have just a culinary program in Vail, and I think they wanted to expand the programs that we offered in Colorado, so that sort of morphed into the Denver campus, and that campus happened to be available for purchase, and so we bought. And that's of all the campuses, that's the most traditional. It looks like a college campus more so than any of the other campuses. The Charlotte campus arose because we used to have two campuses, one in Charleston and one in Virginia Beach, and the city of Charlotte approached us and said, we're interested in expanding our reach into hospitality. We think there's no better educational partner than Johnson & Wales to help us do that. So we consolidated the Charleston campus and the Virginia Beach campus and created the Charlotte campus. And the state of North Carolina and the city of Charlotte were very generous with us and gave us a lot of impetus to start that campus. So that's the newest campus of the three. There have been other campuses in other areas. Where were we internationally? Switzerland? We used to have a St. Martin. We used to be in Switzerland. Sweden. Worcester, there used to be a campus up near Worcester. So there various campuses sort of come and gone, but these three have maintained. As far as the governance, so for the university, there's one board of trustees, and they are the governing board for all of us, all the campuses. I am the university provost, so I oversee the academic programs at all of the campuses. These deans, however, are except for Dean Hopper and Dean Young, they are mainly the deans of the Providence campus. And there is a lot of confusion with that. I mean, we work very closely with our colleagues on the other campuses. They also have academic deans that are sort of their chief academic officers, but they work closely with us. But the faculty work well together. They have periodic meetings, and culinary arts especially work very closely with the other branch campuses, but the other campuses too. There is not yet a well-established College of Health and Wellness at any of the other campuses, and just starting with engineering and design. So it's mostly been business, hospitality, culinary arts, and to a smaller extent, arts and sciences. But we talk about 1J Wu, right? And that is really true. We work very closely. Our accreditation, we only have one accreditation, that's through NECHI, that's the group that was here in October. And they visited all the branch campuses to make sure the programs that we're offering are consistent across the system. So we're responsible for making sure that happens.
They also sit on our curriculum committees, our Dean's Council, our Provost Council, et cetera, and they Skype into those meetings.
Yeah, so they're involved in the governance of the institution.
Thanks. And then also a separate question, something especially, I'm in the SE program in hospitality here, and there is no requirement for any kind of food and culinary classes, and I'm wondering, since, like the world of catering is so big, why that exists? And then on that question, if there is in the future plans to kind of collaborate between culinary and hospitality, because I feel like they're two different campuses now, and they really, at this point, don't go so much together except for the FSM.
I think that'll be also one of the advantages of the being in semesters with a little bit more flexibility in the curriculum for students, is that there will be greater opportunity. We're actually talking about creating a culinary minor, right? So that might be an opportunity for students to be able to take with those free electives that we've talked about. I think both the College of Culinary Arts, soon to be CFIT, and the College of Hospitality recognizes that they need to do more collaboration. Many of the programs that we're developing now are interdisciplinary programs, which is the way of the future, I think, for academic institutions in general. And so I think there's more of a desire to do that and to sort of break down the silos that we've had and to work more closely together. We've heard that from students a lot lately, so I'm sure that the College of Hospitality Management would be taking that under consideration. Do you want to say anything?
And I was going to say with
Yeah.
that, actually Susan and I had an initial discussion about the question of how about is it, as we move to semesters and as they work this out, is it possible for a hospitality student to take a lab course, which has never been possible because they couldn't go into that 2 weeks of extended time. That was impossible. And so, as you can imagine, my culinary brothers and sisters have had an awful lot of work to transition everything into semesters. But that's a discussion that we will continue now that they have their curriculum set to be able to do that. And quite simply, the reason why there isn't a required food course in SCE is that we've heard from industry that it's less important there than it is in travel, in hotel, and so many of the other areas. And, you know, there's a finite number of courses you can offer. And as we move to semesters, as I think a couple of people have mentioned, we wanted to give students more options for electives. And so we've done that, and for minors. And so there's courses available within hospitality that are food-related. During orientation, if there's hospitality people here, you've probably heard me at every orientation session, I talk about, you know, for SAE students, a good course to take as an elective is beverage appreciation, because that touches everything. It's not so important that we have to bounce out another SAE course, but that's a good way to use an elective because it touches so many areas. So, did that answer your question? Or?
Yes, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be pleased to listen to you or a group of your degree peeps and just hear what you would like to take and see how we can make that happen, if not for you. What year are you?
I transferred, so in credits I'm a sophomore, actually.
You're sophomore, well, maybe for you. So I'd be pleased to speak with you and just have an idea. You know, is it really a cooking class, or is it more of a nutrition class, or is it a culture and food class? I mean, there's lots of options.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, we are running close to time here, so I will ask if any of our panelists have any final words to part with here as we wrap up.
I just want to say, and I think I speak for all of us, that we really appreciate the opportunity. So many of us, you know, some of us teach, including me, but often we don't get a chance to speak with students as often as we'd like to. So we really appreciate the opportunity to hear from you, what's important to you, and I want you to know we really do listen to what you're saying, and we will be having conversations about a lot of the things we heard tonight.
And I would like to add, my door, and probably most of the doors of all these deans, are open always. I'm on the first floor of the Cuisinart Center for Culinary Excellence. Pop in if my door is open. Stop in, and I'll be pleased to sit down and talk with you.
All the deans feel that way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here this evening. We want to give a big round of applause to our panelists for the evening as well. I want to thank everybody who tuned in on Instagram and on YouTube for submitting your questions as well and watching from there if you couldn't make it into the building tonight. We hope that everybody has a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.